till I die, Spurs die hard. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Tottenham till I die. Spurs die hard. Tottenham till I die.
Hello and welcome to the regular Sunday edition of Spurs Diehards TTID Tottenham Till I Die. And I should imagine there's a few Spurs fans there thinking that they're dying already with the results that we've been getting ready. We're dropping like a stone in the league. Our form is the worst in the Premier League. And we see no sign of it abating as of yet. And we can but hope that our games in Europe give us confidence to kick on. But we'll see. So we're going to get into some Spurs news and views first. Then we're going to talk about the game away at Atletico Madrid, predicted lineup, predicted score, injuries, blah, blah, blah. So without further ado, because I don't like to do long-winded intros, I'm going to introduce our fantastic panel. We've got award-winning Harry Scarf with us. How are you, Scarfy? You all right?
I'm very good, thank you. Thanks for having me. Shame about Spurs at the moment, but always love coming on here.
And Sire from Birmingham, I hope you understand his accent. How are you doing, Si?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, Adrian. Just shame about Spurs. Still in my black tie, white shirt in mourning of the slow death and demise of our beautiful football club. Until we get 3 points, it's a black tie, white shirt every podcast. So.
And we got Phil in Frankfurt, keeping us informed in all things that are happening in Germany. German football, as well as being involved with us and Spurs. Yeah, how are you, Phil? How's the weather in Frankfurt?
Weather's been glorious the last couple of days, actually. It got up to 19, 20 degrees today, pure sun. So for me, that's definitely shorts weather. The Germans are always amazed when I whack my shorts on and go out, because they would normally only put them on when it's 30 or something. Yeah. They wear winter coats still when it's like this. But yeah, that's the Brits for you. But no, I'm good. Thanks for having me on. And it was quite nice to actually have a weekend without Spurs, to be honest. Because obviously the last couple of weekends, it's pretty much ruined that. Well, it's ruined the day, hasn't it? And it's ruined the weekend and the week ahead. But now, actually enjoyed some of the FA Cup games. The Wrexham game yesterday was pretty cool. So yeah, but yeah, obviously it's all kicking off again, isn't it, on Tuesday? And yeah,
we'll do a post-match show on a Wednesday. I'm not doing one directly after the event. I like to collate my thoughts and get things sorted out. So we'll do a post-match. There'll be half the World Spurs podcast will be doing a show straight after the game. So I like things to see. I want to start with this. There's a few rumours in the media as usual. There's always rumours with us. Start with you, Harry. Boardroom panic. Igor Tudor tenure under threat. Interim or full-time options have been suggested. Latest media rumours are Keane and De Zerbi. What's your take on this? Do you think the board are going to panic and sack Tudor?
Well, let me just start by saying I have 0% confidence in this board, and I think a lot of Spurs fans will feel the same. The appointment of Igor Tudor has been a car crash, and that's probably being kind about it. Having said that, I think we've got to look at the wider picture here. And I know that, this is a conversation probably to be had in the summer, but I don't think the manager is the main problem at Tottenham. And I was someone that put my neck on the line to defend Thomas Frank. This is nothing to do with Thomas Frank. It's that my point was that maybe he came across badly or was put across badly by me, but the problems are a lot deeper at the club. I unfortunately think the club is broken. It's rotten, I think, from top to bottom. And any business, whether it be football or non-football related, you have to go to the top and go, are the decisions being taken correctly? Is there an element of leadership? Is there leadership issues? And I think at Tottenham, we've got non-footballing people making footballing decisions, and we're having the same mistake after the same mistake. And whatever you think of Daniel Levy, that's a whole different conversation. All I will say is they threw him under the bus. I don't think he's definitely caused a lot of this problem, but he's still been thrown under the bus. They've moved a few people around, and it felt like for a long while so far this season, the fans have treated it as a new kind of owners. That's not the case. These are the same owners, slightly new look board, but you've got, for me, owners that are unambitious. You've got a board that are utterly incompetent. Let's be clear, Johan Lang was sacked by Aston Villa. In their own statement for consistent underperforming in the window was used in the statement by Aston Villa. We go and appoint that guy. What have we done? Consistently underperformed in the window. Vinay at Arsenal's best time in the last goodness knows how many years has come since he hasn't been at the club. They're now competitive on all four fronts, season after season. That's not wasn't the case when Vinay's there. Let me just tell you that. It certainly wasn't for a lot of his tenure. So listen, for me, Tudor, I think of course you've got to have what I call an emergency button on the table. No manager should be safe, of course, but I don't think, you get Tudor out, you bring someone else in. I don't think we're going to start winning games. I think whoever's in charge could be Pep Guardiola. I struggle to see where these wins are going to come from. Having said that, Tudor is someone I believe that will go into the dressing room shouting and taking no nonsense. I don't think that's what we need. I think we need players who need an arm around the shoulder, they need lifting, and he's probably lying to. They need to be told that you're really good. You're really, really good. Come on, you can do this. Probably not the case, but that's what they need to be told. I don't want De Zerbi. I think his name mentioned. I think you said him. I think it'd be a car crash. Talk about car crash. It'd be, absolutely what we're seeing with Tudor. They're very, very similar managers in terms of what their beliefs are with the way you should play football in terms of aggression, but also their personality and principles off the pitch too. So, absolute car crash. Tudor is putting square pegs in round holes. That's his choice. So he's been terrible, terrible, terrible. Very, very bad. I mean, having said that, like I said, the problems lie a lot deeper. Whatever we do, we're damned, basically. Just to summarise, unfortunately.
Very well said, if I must say so. So, Syed, do you share Harry's positivity?
I mean, I agree with what Harry's saying. Like, rotten from top to bottom, this football club is at the moment. For me, I mean, with Igor Tudor, he hasn't had his right-hand man. He still hasn't had his right-hand man yet because obviously there's still work permit issues for his assistant manager if you want to come in. I just feel that it's a struggle for any manager to motivate these players at the moment. They look defeated as soon as they're walking out on the pitch, to be honest, Adrian. All the rumours of the managers coming next season, I'm just completely turning a blind eye to that. I'm ignoring it all the media rumours, because to me, all that is important is the next Premier League game. More important than the Champions League game to me. I'm sort of really ignoring that to the point of I had bought tickets to the Champions League home game, but I actually contacted the club and got a refund for both tickets back because I don't want to stand there possibly with the idea of celebrating we could be going through to the next round of the Champions League when I'm really not concerned about that. All I'm concerned about, and I think we should be as a club, is our Premier League survival. That is first and foremost. Because let's be realistic, we're not going to win the Champions League, are we? Realistically. So it's all balls should be put towards Premier League survival. Igor Tudor hasn't had a great start, I'll admit that. He is the man in charge at the moment, and I think I can't see them changing that. I mean, there was rumours that he could have got sacked after the Palace defeat, but I can't see that happening. I do think that he will last till the end of the season, but we've just got to get behind him. He's not ideal, and I agree with what Harry said. He's going to go in shouting, yelling at the players. But I'm a manager in the job I do. And in that, in like anything where you're a manager, there are certain individuals who will get motivated by you yelling at them and shouting at them. But then there are other individuals that you would need to put an arm around, and so it is having to adapt. So I think some of them will adapt, will be motivated by Tudor, but some may not. But I mean, us as fans, we've just got to get behind the team, whoever's in charge, to be honest, Adrian, and get behind these players, because this is the worst I've known it in all my 40 years of supporting this football club.
Phil, the board can't. I mean, how bad would it look if they were a second man they've just brought in? He's only had 3 games.
Well, they wouldn't reflect well on them, but I mean, their stock at the moment has fallen so low, anyways, that would it really impact them? I think it would have a worse impact if they were again to stick with him too long, like they did with Thomas Frank, when they should have acted on him, much earlier in the season. They had the opportunity to move on from Thomas Frank, and they didn't. Essentially waited too long, and then have kind of got this guy in who, when he came and when we did our research, I certainly kind of I didn't get carried away by it, but I could understand why we hired him based on the fact that he's been an interim, 3 times, and he's kind of improved those teams. But by the looks of it, he was kind of Paratici's man that had been lined up, and almost feels like he was the only telephone number in the phone book that actually picked up and kind of said, yeah, I want, I'm up for taking this job. I want to come. I've been lined up anyways, right, from before, and I'm available, and I can do the job. And I mean, if they were to make a decision and remove him and replace him, yeah, they'd look a bit stupid. But to be honest, look, and I know we can never trust the press. The press like to also go a bit dramatic and stuff, but there's a lot of respected footballing people out there, I would say, who are kind of saying, there wouldn't be anything wrong in moving on from Igor Tudor now. Like if the club decided to do it, better to do it now again rather than wait another 3 games and do it when there's only 5 games left of the season, especially as there's a break after. I think there's a 3-week break, is there, after
there's a
Liverpool?
break from the 23rd to the 30th is the season break, but actually we don't play again until like the 11th of April, 12th of April. What the banner I'll bring it up later anyway, right? Bring the banner
so there's a so look, that could be an opportunity in that break time if they did want to make a decision then, because it's unlikely to happen now, as if they would have made it now, they probably would have done it again already. I doubt they'll do it after Atletico before Liverpool, unless if we perform. And again, like the Champions League isn't that important for us now, is it? We're not going to win it. We'd rather avoid injuries, to be honest, for our league campaign. I mean, look, I say we're not going to win it. If we get through the tie against Atletico, we're still in a quarter-final. Do you know what I mean? Like you never know how these things can work sometimes, right? And we've seen everything with Spurs, haven't we? We've literally seen everything. So like, I'm not going to say we're going to go and win the cup, but if you get to a quarter-final of any cup competition, be it the World Cup, in international football, the FA Cup, the trophy that we won last season, the Europa League, the UEFA Cup, you're still in the cup, right? And you never know. So like, I don't want us to go out. I don't want us to play a weakened team particularly against it, because I think those are still massive games, like playing away in Madrid, with the potential to play Barcelona or whoever else, in the next rounds, it's also an opportunity for the players maybe to raise themselves again. So I wouldn't go out there and play like, drop half the team and, literally play the youth in that game, because I don't think that would benefit them in that game. But the issue that we have, I think, is I don't think Igor Tudor's worked out at all since we hired him. He's been there 3 games. We've had 3 defeats. Some of his decisions have been very questionable in terms of how he's set the team up. Those square pegs in round holes, or the other way around. Formations. There's been little signs, but I don't know. Like for me personally, again, and it would depend on, well, who do you replace him with? You know, do we have options to replace him with? But I actually think that he, as Sai said, you know, some players react to people, you know, to managers or leaders kind of putting them under pressure and, you know, shouting at them kind of, right, and saying, hey, you know, you're better than this, you know, you got to improve yourself. And for sure our players are in that position, you know, they're all playing way under their level, but there's going to be a lot of players, and especially these the more, I say, like internationals, you know, people like probably Van der Ven now, you know, Romero, captain, you know, all those players that are more established, you know, who in some respects might need to get the confidence back, a bit of an arm around the shoulder, and like being told that, you know, what's going on, you know, like you need to look at this fan base, look at this stadium, look at this club. You're way above what you're doing at the moment. I love you. You know, you can do this. You know, like try and motivate them through. I don't want to say through being nice, but you know what I mean, right? Through like positive, constructive conversations. And I don't think that Igor Tudor is the guy to do that. And if it was me, I would actually probably after the Champions League game, I would actually make a change if it was my decision. But I can also understand why the club. I can understand why the club would also say, well, look, he's only been there 3 games. You know, like we need to give him a couple more. But right now we're in such dire straits, and I'm not seeing a new manager bounce in any shape or form. And yeah, so I would make a change, and I would try and get someone in who's got an affinity to the club.
Well, personally, I think but I think you should stick with him. I mean, if you were going to do it, you'd wait to this period anyway, the break, which I think is for FA Cup or the next round of European games. It's the only reason it can be extended.
Can I just say something, KJ?
Yeah, of course you can say what you want.
Yeah, I just feel I agree with Phil to an extent there, but I just think for Tudor and for any manager who could have come in, I mean, what we got 13, 14 fit first team players. I think it'd be a struggle for any manager, really. At the moment, I mean, there were signs against Palace. He had started to put square pegs in square holes with Sousa at left wing back. The only issue for me was Porro and Archie Gray on the right hand side. Porro, in my eyes, should have been right wing back, not right centre back. Yeah. In my point of view, I think if we were going to get rid of him, I think it would all be dependent on the Forest result. We've got the 2 Champions League games and Liverpool in between, which, you know, we could get something there, a point, because they are up and down, Liverpool. But if we did not beat Forest, that is where I think they would definitely make a change. But once again, who can you turn to? That's the thing.
Yeah. Right. Okay. We'll move on a bit. I know how much you follow Italian football, Cherry. So, look, we've been linked with this guy, Cristiano Giuntoli, former Juventus technical director. He had previous years, 8 years. I know nothing about this guy, but
nor do I.
8 years at Napoli says he must have been doing so to last somewhere at 8 years. You can read between the lines there. And because he's not working at the moment, because he's previous at Juventus technical director, well, we know Juve haven't had no money and they've struggled to bring players in. They couldn't even get Moani to sign and all that. So they could be having the issues of getting players in like we've had with sporting directors not getting issues in.
Yeah, well, listen, let me just start off by saying whoever comes in, our recruitment has to improve. I believe we have one of the worst recruitment right now at this moment speaking. It's just completely like no creativity at all, right? It's like coming up with a business plan that's just bland, boring, and doesn't pass the basic check. And what I mean by that is Conor Gallagher, if you believe reports, I of course don't believe them all, let's be clear, but we've been after Gallagher, if you believe that, for several years under several different managers. That's not an inventive recruitment. Inventive recruitment is, something I'm not necessarily say it was him. Some of it would have been, of course, but under Fabio Paratici, some of the players we signed was, superb. For example, in the January window, we bring in Bentancur and Kulusevski. That's what I call good recruitment. Or even players that was not like, oh my God, everybody knows, but people have heard of. Like people had heard of Van der Ven after that very good season at Wolfsburg. That's still good recruitment. I don't think Conor Gallagher is good recruitment. I think you're getting someone that you're ultimately paying more money than he's worth, in my view. And listen, we need so much this squad. But a player like Gallagher, we kind of have that in Sarr. Because Gallagher, one thing I will say about him is he doesn't stop running. I can't think of much else. Yes, Potts created a creative spark out of him, but we're bringing in a really defensive coach under Tudor. So I just do not understand the thinking at all. Of course, I know he was signed for Frank, but even that, I don't think he represents the Frank style at all, if I'm being totally honest about it. So whoever comes in, we have to have a complete change. Vinay says the right things, but has done very little to deliver. He will say that the wage structure's changed because they pay Gallagher more. But I think every single Spurs fan, whether you like Gallagher or not, will be able to agree that Gallagher is not the first player that we should be giving 200k and prioritising the football club, if we're being honest about it. Look at someone like Archie Gray. I know he's only young, and we talk about lacking leadership, lacking captains. Look at him right now. Given 110% every game, consistent performances. I tell you what, if we had a full team of Archie Grays, we'd be okay. And whatever you think of players like Richarlison, they're going to fight. And listen, of course we need quality. We have to look, a million times with a magnifying glass at the moment to find quality or even numbers, to be honest, within the squad at the moment. But you also need fight. And I think, going into the next few games, the manager, whoever it may be at the moment, of course, he's Tudor, unless that changes. That's what it'll be. Definitely will be going into Athletico. I think if we lose that personally, I agree about Forest would be my personal probably decision-making, maybe. But I think that they will, if we lose badly to Athletico, let's say we lose 2 or 3-0, I think they could make a decision in that period, if I'm totally honest with you. I think they don't want to go out of the Champions League as well. That's the thing. The club's priority will be to stay in the league, but they also think, hang on a minute, at least under Frank, we were okay in the Champions League. So I think that might be the situation. I don't think Tudor's got job security. Put it that way. He might find himself in the job centre very, very quickly by the end of the month. Who knows? But listen, I'm diverting slightly. The point is, we have to improve recruitment. And of course, someone asked me the other day, who do you want to sign in the summer? Well, that question can't be answered because we don't know what manager's going to be here. We don't know what players are going to be here. We don't know what division we're playing in. I can sit here saying, I want to sign Adam Walton. He's going to look down on us literally and laugh at us if we're in the Championship or if other big players leave. So it's impossible to say what we need. And all these technical or sporting directors, do you think they're really going to come to Spurs in the Championship? The only reason they come to the Championship is if there's new owners and something fundamentally changed. They'd go, this is an attractive prospect. Look at someone like Wrexham, for example. All the money comes in, people jump to it, right? There's no pull for Tottenham. Yes, you're a big club, but I'd argue that we're sinking. And that could be the same situation when we get to the Championship. And we're going to be hit by costs. So it's great to be linked with all these names that have been here. What was it? Napoli for 8 years and so-and-so. And the one that left Forest is going to leave for his Edu. All this, brilliant. But they're not going to come to Tottenham. And who would if we go down? Because, being funny, the going down would be a huge thing. And one thing that I will say is that it was massive when Leicester got relegated because a few years, let's just say, after winning the league. And if we look at things like views across social media, that blew up the internet for about 2 hours. Can you imagine what Spurs going down will do? I don't think the internet will be able to cope. I think it's that serious, especially on places like X. So my point is the club is not just the money we're going to lose. It's the people, it's the global fan base, it's the interest from others. I just think it's not a case of, you go down and come back up the next year. It doesn't look good. Laugh it off and get on with it. I don't think that's the case. I think A, you're stuck, and B, just your reputation's completely ruined. But no, it sounds like a good idea, but is he going to come to Tottenham is the question. And that's sad that we're having to ask this.
Right, the AU viewers, you can get over to Harry here. I'm going to come to sign next. You can go over to Harry here. So get over there and subscribe. Fantastic content, like award-winning podcaster. Right, so get over there. I'm going to bring Size up now. He's up here now. Si, we do need a technical or sporting director, whatever Ponzi descriptive narrative you want to give this post, but we definitely need one, don't we? And obviously, with Langer, okay, Vinny Venkatesham, he's the CEO. He has the final say on who comes in and sorts their wages out, gives them their job description. Although this is one thing we're not clear about, positions in the club's hierarchy, who actually does what and is responsible for what. So we just aim everything at everyone. With Langer, he survived Levy. I've said it before. I'm not sticking up for him, but just logic in my mind just tells me, well, you survived all these coals, right? You must be doing something right in the background. But what? I don't know. His actual transfers and all that haven't been bad. I listed them before, and that was about sales and all that. They haven't been bad, but I mean, my angst and the rest of the fan base's angst at like blasting everything they can with a shotgun effect, you know what I mean? Because of the situation we find ourselves in, and these crap owners that have been with this club so long that shielded themselves behind Levy, who shielded himself behind sporting directors and managers. And now they're removed, right? They've gone. So all our aim, more than being at Vinny and Langer, to me, should be at the board. It should all be at the board. That's where all the focus should be for the protest. Forget Vinny and that, because they might not be staying or whatever anyway. You know, so the focus should be on them. But about a sport, slightly off track here, regarding a sporting director, I mean, do you know anything about this Italian guy?
Me, no. I've got to be honest.
We should have had Gary or Joseph on, shouldn't we? But they couldn't make it.
Yeah, I haven't heard of him. I mean, was it 8 years he spent at Napoli or something? Did it say?
It does say something, yeah. You know what I mean? To me, it does. Reading between the lines.
He must be doing something right. But for me, and like, I agree with what Harry was saying. We dropped down. I mean, who's going to want to come to us, etc. I mean, I think if we do go down, we'd be the laughing stock of football. If we're not already at the moment. But for me, Dougie Freedman is someone that I would like. Someone who's actually got a proper, who has played the game at a high level. You see a lot in fields area like Germany with Bayern Munich. They always have players quite high up in those positions that have played the game before. Dougie Freedman did really well at Crystal Palace as well. Brought Gay in, Elise and Eze. So for me, I would prefer to go down that route than this Italian. But in the end, we do need to get someone. And, you know, it's just something that we need to actually get correct, especially if we're staying in the Premier League. Because in my eyes, Johan Langer, he does need, you know, help, because they were looking when Paratici was there. Am I right in saying that Langer was going to do the younger players and Paratici was going to like sign the senior players potentially? So yeah, I think he needs help. So, you know, for me, I don't know much about that Italian, but Dougie Freedman would be a name just because of the experience of playing the game and know, you know, the inside and outside of a football club. So,
right, Phil, do you know anything about him? Do you watch any Italian football at all?
I have heard of him, and I do remember kind of seeing something about him a couple of years ago when he was still at Napoli before he moved to Juventus, because he was at Napoli for quite a long time. And I think he was there during the period where they kind of rebuilt themselves, didn't they? To be fair, you know, where they became a, you know, leading team again, right, in the league, with the opportunity to win the league. I think he signed Osimhen for them, you know, at that time. Obviously, he was a great.
What I can't ever pronounce that name. Kvaratskhelia, what is his name? The winger. Did he get him in as well? Yeah, Osimhen.
He probably did. Yeah, he must have done. I think he must have done timing wise.
Yes, I thought he would have.
Yeah, and wasn't Alisson even? I don't know how long. Alisson's been at Liverpool quite a long time now, to be fair, but I'm pretty sure Alisson was at Napoli before he joined Liverpool. But yeah, look, I mean, he sounds like he's got a good track record. And he has been a coach as well. He's taken like coaching licenses and stuff, so he understands the game. But I think he's the wrong kind of profile for Spurs. I think that
it's only a rumor.
Like,
it is only a rumor.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think that we. I don't think he's the right kind of like fit in terms of background. You know, like I think that. Like, because the sporting director for me is actually more important than the manager. Like this hire, who's going to be the sporting director, for me is more important than the manager, because the sporting director needs to be able to own, like the strategy on the footballing side of the club, and he needs to be aligned with the manager. And arguably, the sporting director should be hiring the manager, and the manager is reporting into the sporting director. And I think that, bearing in mind that, as Harry said as well, as we all agree, that the club is an absolute mess from top to bottom, this is an opportunity for us in some shape or form to, again, rebuild in a certain way if we get the right sporting director in. And look, if it is then Poch who they decide on together or whatever, great. If it's someone else, also fine, but they need to be aligned. And I think that we need to get a sporting director in who's either got hands-on experience of the Premier League, of British football, so understands the Premier League, how things work in the UK, I would say, in terms of process, in terms of kids, football clubs. So I would have anyways been up for someone like Paul Mitchell coming back. I know we got linked with the Chelsea guy, Win Stanley. I'm with Sai, by the way, on Dougie Freedman. To be honest with you, if Dougie Freedman was interested and we could offer him the right role, I would take Dougie Freedman in a heartbeat because he's very highly rated. He understands, obviously, British football perfectly. He did a very good job at Crystal Palace. Also, arguably, in a bit of a challenging club setup as well. But I think we need someone, ideally, who's got Premier League experience and who has played the game at a high level. And look, if it isn't someone who comes from the Premier League, I would prefer to take someone from maybe a more progressive league like the Bundesliga, also who's played football, as opposed, to someone again from a more defensive kind of league, right? Serie A, Italian. I mean, obviously, I've got absolutely nothing against Italian people. I love Italy. I love Italian football. But I think we need someone who kind of ideally understands the league already, or who comes from that model where they're working. Like in the Bundesliga clubs, it's the same, right? They usually promote these people. And there is options there. But I think it would be a mistake. But also, my last point on that is, I'm still a bit surprised as to how who's actually running the search for the new sporting director. Like, is it Vinay himself, or is it Langer?
No, it should be both of them, and they should be working together. They can't work; they have to work as a team, so it should be both of them together. But let me throw this at you. I mean, like Sai has alluded to, and you have in the past about German clubs promoting ex-legends. We have enough ex-legends at Spurs, right? That they don't necessarily have to be the sporting director. I mean, Glenn will run an academy in Spain for sort of semi-fouled players. Some of them would have still fouled, not made it big time, but might have made it in lesser leagues and earned a fortune, because you don't have to be the best player in the world to, set yourself up for life. And others did which were overlooked, did actually come through and make it in different leagues. So while we aren't using someone like Glenn Hoddle, like, baffles me. I know he's had his heart condition problem, so you don't really want to put him in a stressful manager's job. Or maybe not even and he might not have the acumen to actually strike deals and know how to do it as an agent or a sporting director. But surely we should be using these ex-legends. I mean, they've got an eye for talent. Even Tudor, I know everybody's throwing everything at him. He's inherited a shit show, but I mean, he was a very successful player with Croatia, very successful at Juventus. I mean, he's proven. So he should have the players' respect of what he's achieved and what he's won, with leagues in Italy and that. So, but why we're not using ex-legends, I just don't know. I just don't know why we're not doing that.
I agree with you. And I mean, moving forward under the next, I say regime, but like the next sporting director and manager, hopefully, in my opinion, a new CEO. Because I don't rate Vinay at all from what I've seen of him in this year. And Johan Langer, I think he is good with the youth, or on the youth side, on youth talent and stuff. And I would have no issues with him kind of staying in the club, actually, if he was just focusing on that. But I wouldn't have him as a dual sporting director on the same level as someone else. I don't think it makes sense. But if we get a new regime in, however it looks like, we need to start getting some of our legends back into the club. And, you know, as long as they are interested in, you know, taking more responsibility in those kind of roles, you know, I know we've got some legends who are kind of like ambassadors, you know, Ledley, Dawson, as Dawes is still quite involved, isn't he, with the club as well? But he's on Sky, you know, as a main job. Yeah, Mabsy obviously is, you know, he's every match day, isn't he? He's doing the stuff in the background. I think the challenge is to find or identify some of our players, you know, who've been with us long term, or at least are kind of, you know, got that affinity to the club, who also have the affinity to, as I say, whether it's be a sporting director, that's another thing, because you can't just suddenly push someone into that. But if they come in as advisors, or, you know, as kind of some kind of culture, you know, team, or, you know, to try and build and maintain the culture internally, or working with, you know, the new sporting director or the managers and stuff, then that would be great. Yeah, exactly, like a consultant, like someone like Dawson, just as an example, like for me, would be the right kind of person, because he's clearly, and I'm not saying that all footballers are, you know, not intelligent, right? But there is different levels of, you know, of footballers, right, in terms of how they come across in the media. You know, have they studied? Did they finish their school, or did they study something in the background? You know, you get a lot of footballers like Ramon Vega. You know, he's quite vocal on Twitter. He's quite anti, you know, ENIC, isn't he? But he studied economics, right, whilst he was a footballer, and he's a multi-millionaire, successful trader and investment, you know, guy in Switzerland, right? But like, there is some footballers who just are able to obviously, you know, speak very well, you know, and they have that business acumen, and probably that life business acumen, right? And I guess some of those are the ones that also do go on to be successful managers anyways. But if we could only identify some of those who would definitely come in as an advisor, or it probably won't happen now in this appointment, but I'd like to think that maybe in 3, 4, 5 years' time, when we hire the next sporting director, that we could already have a kind of like some kind of pipeline, you know, a pool, trying to build people maybe into that. You know, it'd be the same as if someone like Defoe had come back to the club. You know, Jermaine Defoe, he's obviously been a youth coach, isn't he? He's working with the youngsters and stuff. I don't know where he is now, but he kind of came back, didn't he, into the club. You know, if you could just like work on those players, you know, even a Ryan Mason as an example. But obviously Ryan Mason wants to become a manager, so fair play to him, and we wish him all the best with that. But someone like Ryan Mason, do you know what? He would be a good sport. He could be a sporting director as well, right? Because he's got the right. You know,
would he want it at his age? Would he want it now? Would he want that now at his age?
No, I don't think he would, and so I don't think he would. So
what
there's
about
no
Ben
point.
Davies?
Well, Ben Davies would be he would be a great person for that. Absolutely, you know. And I think if you're a sporting director, again, I don't want to talk about this for too long, but like, you know, on the one hand, you've got that definition of, you've got a scout, like someone who's like like leading the whole of talent, and has got a black book, you know, like Paratici has or had or whatever, you know. He's literally making calls because he knows the agents, probably, right? It's not just, and he probably knows the clubs and, you know, this kind of thing, at least in his area. But then on the other side, you can also be a sporting director, and you can be responsible for the whole footballing part of the business, but maybe you're not the talent guy. And right. And there's a lot of sporting directors who are like that. They're not the ones like working on building the pipeline of talent. Yeah, that falls under their responsibility. But their responsibility is more on making sure that the structure, right, underneath the CEO or Daniel Levy, as it would have been, is right and is working, and the culture is working. And that could be someone like Ben Davies or Gareth Bale if he wanted it, but I understand he doesn't. You know,
Harry, let's move on to Harry. On that, I mean, Phil makes some good points there. On that, would you like to see like a recognised sporting director come in that's proven, and then have, say, a Hoddle or a Ben Davis under his wing to sit in, to be with them, to see how it works. That's if they'd be interested in being a sporting director in the future, obviously. Like, would you like to see something like that? So you bring a couple of legends in, or that would be interested in being a sporting director. We know they haven't got the skill set at present. Would you like to see like a couple brought in, and we start doing this at this football club? Because then if one of the next players gets in there, whether he succeeds or fails, they can then bring in another couple in behind them again and keep, so as we have a perpetual like conveyor belt.
Firstly, I've enjoyed listening to this conversation. So there's a good points made across the panel. So thank you for that. It's really interesting to hear. It changes your whole, I think, opinion and perspective across the board. So for me, I don't want to be awkward, but going back to what I said earlier, it really does depend on what we're in. If we're in the Championship, we might have to look to those legends because we're not going to be as attractive to those bigger names. That's just being real about it. We've got a guy in Fabio Paratici who deemed, Fiorentina, who were bottom at the time, more attractive than Tottenham. Even if he's Italian, that's not a good look for Tottenham. Even if he's homesick, that's not a good look for Tottenham. Let's not beat around the bush. It's not a good look. That tells me that Tottenham aren't attractive. And I think it'll come out that he was really unhappy and thought the club was a mess. Wouldn't surprise me at all. Probably didn't like Thomas Frank, etc., etc. So listen, whoever we get, we could appoint the best, whoever you think is the best in the world, the up-and-coming best, the best there ever is not going to change the football club. Because when you've got people upstairs that treat fans as no more than customers, probably not even that, and put the business before the football club. Of course, any business is important. But they have no interest, I believe, in the football side. I don't think they could care less, really. They will care less when it goes down to the Championship. But again, to be clear, for me, what's really, really important, as much as I don't want these owners on board, Tottenham staying in the Premier League is far more important. They don't matter to me at all compared to the club. So as much as I don't want to be stuck with them, if you said to me, Harry, stick with these rotten owners and utterly incompetent board that needs to bash their heads together, then I would say that and stick in the Premier League, because I think if we go down, it's not a given that we come back up. I don't want to keep being negative and coming back to that. I have no problem in giving someone with limited, ideally some, but even if it's no experience. But I'm not. I like the idea in a way of having two sporting directors. But I also think, do they tread on each other's toes a little bit? Because I think Fabio Paratici was never going to work. When I saw that, I thought, no, he's someone that works best on his own. That's the impression you get. He's a very passionate, animated guy. What do I know? But I can just picture that he works best on his own. If you listen to Johan Lang, I'm absolutely convinced the guy's out his depth. I know absolutely nothing about any of this stuff, right, that he deal with. I'm not going to pretend I do. Never worked in it, no experience, but I'd back myself over Johan Lang, who's consistently underperformed in Windows. I don't think he has a clue what he's doing. And I used a statement last week, and I'm quite enjoying using it at the moment. I just said that I wouldn't trust him with my car keys, and I don't even drive. So make of that what you want. And that's genuine. And it's worrying, though. We've got these people in charge of the football club, and I'm not going to knock anything this owners have done on the business side of things. And a lot of it did come from Daniel Levy, but very sensible business-wise. But that completely changes playing Championship football. We won't be, at the moment, unless something changes, which is not going to, we're not going to be able to attract the big names. So we're going to have to look to those with no experience, because Tottenham are not the juggernaut that we should be or once was.
Yeah, and so, I mean, the vultures are swooping. There's lots of rumours about our players because of the position we're in. We got Vicario rumoured to return to Italy. Moani to Juventus. I don't think many fans would worry about those two. But more recently, you've got Newcastle supposedly interested in Solanke. And as me and Phil know, as we followed Vuskovic in Germany a lot and watched all his games, every top club out there, PSG, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, they're all interested in Vuskovic. But the advantage with even the likes of VDV, Romero, Vuskovic, I mean, these are all on long contracts. They're not going for large, they will go. If they go, it's for large sums of money.
Yeah. I agree. I think more rumours are happening because we are struggling, especially for our better players. Van de Ven and Romero, as I said before, I wonder if there are like relegation release clauses in some of their contracts where if we do get relegated, like Van de Ven, will be able to go for a certain amount of money. Because otherwise, I mean, if we stay in the Premier League, I can't see Spurs letting him go, to be honest, because he's still contracted till 2029 or 2028, I think.
I'll bring him up. I've got this is 2027. I don't think we'll miss any of these. I think they'll be sold anyway. As much as I like Scarlett and Divine and Richarlison, I think they'll go. The 28 contracts, 3 are Madison, Porro. So they'd be the two you want to, if you're fans of these. Solomon's doing quite well at Fiorentina. They're out of relegation trouble now, so they'll probably go. Vicario will probably go.
I can tell you something, Adrian. I think me and Phil would pay Vicario's taxi fare, petrol money, and flight. And there's Harry
Right now,
well.
right now.
All three of
Right
us.
This is where it gets really interesting. 2029, when we've got time, because now you've got VDV, Wilson Odebert, who I think by the time we get another couple of seasons out of him, he's not the finished article, but you can see he's reputably the most skillful player at the club, and Madison's the second most. Austin, I think he'll go. He's kept because he's homegrown. Donnelly, well, he's at Oxford now with Lancashire. I think they both scored this weekend, and they won 2-1. Valencia going to Bahia. He's going. Dorrington, well, he's back with the under-29s now because basically Aberdeen. We won the Scottish Cup. They haven't got the money to pay $1 million for him. Will Lancashire's at Oxford. Hope we keep him, but Alo Stacey was on the bench and Romero. So I thought Romero's contract would have been a bit longer, but the 2030 of this lot, so they're not going anywhere. And to be honest, we don't really know much about Yang Min Hook. He's sort of mixed on his loans. I could see Saar going. Don't see the others going, and sort of that's up to 230. So most of it depends on who you like and dislike as a fan. I think most of the better players, the players that would, that you'd get good value for, are tied down. We haven't got to worry about this season. So all you watching, 110 of you watching on various platforms, don't panic about other clubs being linked. Even should the worst thing happen and we get relegated, like these players won't be sold for peanuts. And the other thing is, in regards to money, this is a very rich football club. If it goes down, it drags in money from so many other revenue streams. It hasn't got to have a fire sale. We haven't got to have a fire sale. So, so people won't pull that over our eyes. But
I still think, Adrian, that we would have to, I think Van de Ven and Romero will both go if we got relegated. I've got to be honest. I just think some of them who haven't got ties to Tottenham would just jump ship, really. And like I said, if they got relegation release clause, and a team would bid that amount of money, it's still going to be, a decent amount, but not as much as if we sold them and we were still in the Premier League. But it won't be a fire sale, but we'd definitely sell one or two, I would have thought, Adrian. I don't know what the other guys think.
The last player we sold, we've not been a selling club for ages. We knew Kane, and we got 16 mil for Ericsson in a January window when he went to Milan, but we knew he wasn't signing. That was an issue. We knew Kane was going to give us good signing. But the last player we sold, who we really wanted to keep, was Kyle Walker in 2017. Prior to that, you go back to 2012 and 2013 when we sold Bale and Modric. So we're not a selling club and look, we know how hard it is to get players out of what we call the less wealthier clubs and how much money they want. There's so much money in the Premier League now. You don't have to be a selling club unless you've got you're in some really disastrous financial dire straits. It sort of just doesn't happen. Let's move on to relegation battle hopes, right? Harry, we've got these guys should be back. We know where that break is from the 20. That's the international break, but it goes to April the 12th, the 11th and 12th when we play our next game after the break. But Kudus, Bergvall, and Udogie should be back. Are we pinning our hopes too much on returning players coming back and hitting the ground running?
Yeah. Listen, we have done every time. We are, of course, relying on them heavily. It's not sugarcoat it. Let's be honest about it. The reality is players have been forced back. In recent years, in my view, far too early. They haven't gone through the proper recovery process, and that's extremely concerning. And I think we've seen a direct result of those being rushed back or not completing, the full recovery. I mean, again, what do I know? But I'm sure the players absolutely busting. Some will be anyway. Maybe not now with the way we're playing, to be fair, but in the past anyway, busting to come back. And it's very easy, isn't it, for players to go, no, I'm all right. I'm ready to play. And I believe the medical team doing, all right, yeah, fine. And the managers constantly, by the way, I reckon, whoever it is, and all these managers going, come on, is this player back yet? The players coming, come on, I want to get on the pitch. I reckon they just give in. That's my opinion. And I think as a result, they've lost their job. And that's the vicious cycle we're seeing. I think it literally is as simple as that. Again, I'm not going to be a conspiracy theorist. This is only my opinion. I sat on this very show, probably made the mistake to do so, if I'm honest with you. I like to commit to what I say, though. I said, I think it was 2nd, 3rd of January, if I'm not mistaken. And I said, we're not going to go down. My words were, we're not going to go down. yeah. My words were, we're not going to go down, but no club is too good or too big to go down. I certainly agree with the last bit. The first bit is now, bearing in mind we're sat 14th when I said this. Of course, a lot has changed, and I'm extremely worried. I'm going to, for the sake of being positive and the sake of not going back on my word, because that never goes well, I'm going to say that we will be playing Premier League football next year. I'm someone that believes, and I'm not just saying this, I think if we go down, I don't think we come up. I don't think we come up for a long time. I honestly think I'm thinking the next 5 years, I'm not going to be one of those that goes 20, 30 years, we'll still be here. I don't think we come up again in the next 5 years. I think it's
I disagree. I'm going to inject a bit of humour in a minute, and you'll probably use this for your shows as well. But
I may, if I'm allowed.
So I'm going to come with Phil. This and a bit of humour, especially he's in Germany. Well, look, if it went down, Phil, right? If it went down, would it be such a bad thing? And look, no VAR, right? And next season there's extra playoff places. 8th place finish gets you playoff place next season. Surely Spurs could finish 8th in the Championship, yeah?
Do you know what? There'd at least be some hope, wouldn't there? Again, there'd be some hope to actually win some games. But in all honesty, if we go down, I don't think we're getting out of that division quickly. I don't think we're coming straight back up, to be honest.
Why,
at least
do you think
not
we'd lose as many players as people fear or not? I don't think we would actually.
No. I think we'd lose a couple of players for sure. I think we would lose at least one of Van der Ven or Romero, one of them. I don't think we'd hold on to both, but I think we'd lose one of them. But there'd be other players that we maybe lose. That would we be that bothered to lose them? Do you know, like if it was clever? I think we need to really keep hold of our crown jewels. We need to keep hold of the likes of Bergvall, obviously Archie Gray, who's for me a future captain. No, they're not going anywhere, right? Like next season, if someone like Newcastle wanted Solanke as an example, if we went down, I'd sell him as an example. Because I think we could probably. Yeah, I think so. Because if you want to get out of the Championship, arguably you could even just promote people like Lancashire, who's scoring goals, right? Like at the moment, on that kind of level.
You would have to, because then we'd only have striker Richarlison. If Marnie went, we'll have no strikers.
And Richarlison, I think, will go anyways in the summer, I believe. I think he'll go in the summer anyways on top of that, right? But look, I mean...
surely we're bringing in Vaskovic and Mikey Moore, surely.
Yeah, I think now Mikey Moore...
we're bringing them in.
No, I think they have to. Like, Mikey Moore's proven now that he can play consistently well at a pretty good level, let's say. And Vuskovic, well, look, I mean, I saw that there was another report from Fabrizio Romano like an hour ago saying that, Barcelona were concretely interested in that. Fabrizio is going to personally update the world next week on updates around Vuskovic, right? Yeah. So obviously the media, the agents, everyone is like trying to drum up interest from anyways. But look, as you said, he's got 5-year contract still pretty much, and he ain't going anywhere. And I think we need to bring him back for what it's worth. Again, and because I haven't commented on it, I don't think we're going to go down in the end. I think we're going to stay up, but there is a significant chance we could go down, So I think that we will bring back Vuskovic, and regardless of whether we're in the Premier League or the Championship, I think we're going to give him game time next season because he's proven. Look, you only need to. I think I put it in the Diehards WhatsApp group, right? But like, he's number one in the Bundesliga out of all players on headers won. He won 10 out of 10 headers in the game on the weekend. He's clearly like number one on that. He's number one on 50-50 on what's the word? On challenges, right? He's 50-50 on interceptions. Number one. Jules, exactly. He's number one in the league on that. And he's playing for a promoted team that just came up. Add to that all of his goals that he scored and his volleys and everything else. But look, he will be integrated next season. He ain't going anywhere. Even our owners aren't stupid enough to like sell him for like a high fee without him ever playing for us. Like, honestly, if they did that, they won't do that. They won't do that.
If they rock the boat, Phil, I mean, like, you always get other clubs go and cause a bit of trouble and all that, but it costs them so much money with the NDAs and their contracts. The players don't do it. You know what I mean? I mean, like, Kudus wanted out of West Ham, but he wanted out of West Ham before we came tapping. He'd had enough, hadn't he? And they knew he was unhappy there. He wasn't playing where he wanted to play. That's a sort of different scenario. But if you cause trouble in your contracts now are so tied down. I mean, apparently Levy's did put in typical Levy, but well played to him. He's got that half-wage clause in for these players. How that works without sitting down with every agent, I don't know. Maybe he's got something and an overall thing that he can do, but they're all virtual half wages as they go down. I don't think financially. I know Kieran Maguire, who's the financial expert, and we've had him on the shows, and he's brilliant. Like, Brighton supporter, big lectures at Liverpool University on football finance. He's fantastic. I hope Ian gets him back sometime, perhaps in the summer or whatever. I mean, he's saying that latest report that it would cost Spurs 260 million if they went down and lost revenues, right? Bearing in mind you get about 6 million a game, which is about, when you're talking 550, approaching 600 million a season. That's only like under 25% of their total revenue, you know. So really, they can be arrogant and stick their fingers up as us fans, really, you know, because that money doesn't even cover what we'd lose if we went down, right? So, and I still think, you know, I mean, this is a well-supported football club. It was the best away supported club in the 70s. We'd take thousands away, not necessarily 3,000 now. And I still think you'd get good gates at the stadium. Wouldn't be like years ago when the facilities were crap and things like that, when you were doing poorly in the 70s. Ian goes on and says this team's worse than the 70s team. It isn't. And the reason it isn't is you have to bear in mind, back then the squad was 14 players. Now it's 25. So it isn't. Just on numbers, it isn't. But I get what Ian's coming at because we both experienced it, right? So I don't. I mean, like, but this did make me laugh when I found out this. I actually found this out today, Harry. So use it on your show about 8th place playoff next season. We're definitely getting playoffs. If we can make the playoffs in the Championship, God help us. You know what I mean? But I mean, like, the thing is though, right? Is that because our level has got so low, and we've seen how many 22 league defeats last season, and what was it 13 or 14 so far this season, plus all the other stuff. Like, we've got used to like almost expecting us to lose. Well, to obviously lose games, but we just got used to like shipping all of these terrible goals and giving gifts away, and you know, the boos at the stadium and never winning at home and stuff. And look, you know, if we end up getting relegated, the only highlight, and as you said, those are funny points down there as well. Like, you know. But knowing us, we'd finish 9th, wouldn't we? But to make it even funnier, but we would at least win games again in the Championship. You know, I've got I got a few QPR mates as an example, right? And or even AFC Wimbledon or whatever, right? Reading, Wycombe Wanderers, you know, kind of like lower league teams and stuff. And you know, those guys, they've always said that when they came up and then they went down. And it'll be the same as some of those other big teams that have yo-yoed. Look at Norwich or Ipswich is probably the best example, isn't it? You know, under McKenna, they came up to the Premier League, and when they came up, they were playing amazing, you know, attacking Ange ball football.
but with a solid defense, and then in the Premier League, they wanted to kind of try and keep playing that. They probably didn't have the squad, and then they got relegated again. But then they're winning again, every game. They're playing dream football. And some of their fans will generally say
Oops.
Oh,
We lost Phil.
But the problem,
Yeah.
there he is.
the problem for us compared to those teams is that it's such a big deal for us to get relegated, and we can't absorb the financial aspects of it, whereas we're not a yo-yo team. So like, even if we started winning games and stuff, we'd need to guarantee to come back up next season. We can't afford to spend more than one season outside of the Premier League. That's the issue. And that's why we need to, again, it sounds simple, doesn't it? But the players and the owners and Vinay and thingy, they need to be on it. They need to also work out now on Tudor. They need to get the timing right. If it doesn't work with him, I for what it's worth, I still hope that Tudor works out. I hope that we see signs, right? But if it doesn't, we need to pray and hope that everyone involved in this relegation fight is on point and awake to make changes when needed, I think.
Okay, let's move on. Harry, Atletico Madrid away, right? These are our injury woes. Kudus, Bergvall, Bentancur, Kudus, Madison, Davies, Udogie and Odebert. And we struggle to pick an 11 because all these managers like Frank and Tudor keep putting square pegs into round holes and formations and okay, so there's a predicted lineup. We've got, if they're fit, these are the 22. No Sousa because he's not in the squad, but Spence should be back for this as it was a calf injury. VDV's not banned for this game, obviously, and Romero's back now, and for Liverpool as well. So, yeah. So, who we going with? Looks like Vicario's in goal, doesn't it? And I think if it's a back three, I think we know who you're going to pick. But and Dragusin should be back as well.
Yeah, listen, for me, I don't want someone like Spence in the team. If I'm honest with you, I question his attitude and I question his commitment. Again, I don't want to spread rumours, but the reality is you have to have your head switched on and give everything on the pitch to be in a relegation battle. It doesn't matter how good you are, right? You could be Maradona. If you're not fully committed, I don't want you in the team when you're in a relegation battle. It's as simple as that. And Dragusin, for me, again, I like his physicality to an extent, but I don't think him being in the team is beneficial for everybody. You got a goalkeeper that gives me little to no confidence, probably no confidence, if I'm being honest. And Dragusin certainly adds to a lot of fans' worries. We do not need that, especially going away from home. We're looking for stability. Neither Vicario or Dragusin give that. My lineup that I would put out would never be, of course, what we see.
Just to add something for those 120 of you watching this one. This is not including the B list of under 21s, okay? This is just the players, which we're restricted to, okay? It's just to give you that bit of information. Karen, Harry, sorry.
No, you're absolutely fine. Please interrupt at any point. That's fine. I'd change the goalkeeper for a start. I'd change the formation as well. So, I could sit here all day and say what I'd do, but Tudor's absolutely not going to do that. There's a lot, and just let me be clear. There's some people for me that have to be in the lineup. For me, it has to be Tell in the lineup. I'd also find a way to put Richarlison in there. I think Sousa has to be in there. Archie Gray has to be in there. Yeah, Porra has to be in there.
Sousa's not in the squad. Sousa's not in the squad. He wasn't named in the squad. He can't be picked. Okay. That's why if Spence isn't picked, you're looking at playing VDV at left back.
And can I be honest with you? I'd turn to the youth academy because they've got something about that. I'd turn to the youth academy, and I mean that, right? They have more ball. They will have more balls. I can guarantee you that now. I have more bite about them, and I would honestly not that far away from saying sod the first team. Let's swap with the youth academy. I know that sounds dramatic, right? But we are the worst team in the league, and I think we're one of the worst teams in the whole English football pyramid at the moment, factually and statistically. Seriously, right? If we played, look at some of these FA Cup games, right? If Tottenham in this situation, I can't see us beating any of these lower teams. Can you? Mansfield the other day, Port Vale today. I can't see us beating any of them, and that's not a joke, by the way. I think we've gone that far down the pan, right? And this is serious now. These set of players have to look at themselves. They've been given no help by the manager, putting them in the wrong position for a start. I mean, it's just idiotic. How can he call himself a manager? Some of the lineups that he puts out, It's honestly not far off a disgrace. But I'd honestly be looking to youth academy if it's possible and call up anybody. I don't know 100% all the rules around it. Anybody that can call up, we need them ultimately. We've got strikers at this football club in Moani and Solanke who shouldn't be here. They're not good enough. And I've defended Solanke for a long time. But if you score once in the blue moon, that's not good enough. Moani's really perked up with a new manager and looks like it plays okay for 3 minutes and see nothing from him for the rest of the game. We need to step up now. And this makes me angry because we're in a tough situation. It makes me angry that we are not in a better position. And why the Champions League, for me, is not important compared to the Premier League. That's why it's also a good opportunity to give the Youth Academy an opportunity, because if they do well and they start some games or involved in some games in the Premier League.
I've got a different angle. I'll come to my angle on that later. But after you,
please do. Premier League for me has to be the priority. And I was having the conversation with my dad the other day, and I completely disagree with him. It said for me, he thinks he agrees with me that staying in the league critical. But he'd take going down if we won the Champions League. I would not. I think it ruins the football club. I cannot understand. I'll go as far as saying I think it's idiotic to say that, and I think I can say it to my own dad. I think it's completely wrong opinion to have, and everyone's entitled to their view. But this would cost this football club dear. Short-term success for long-term pain is not the way to go about it. We need to fight. There's not many in this team that care about the club. If you go to Youth Academy, a lot of them will be Tottenham through and through. We need that right now. We need a little bit of passion. If they're so good, if they're good enough to be in our Youth Academy, they're good enough to play. In my eyes, so let's start changing our approach.
The better ones from the under-21s are out on loan, and the others, I think, even though I watched them play Friday as well, it's just a big leap for them. I mean, all right,
I'm sure it is.
If he's got a knock, he could come in as a centre back.
But Adrian, to throw a question at you as the host,
but I'm not sure.
But
Gary,
if you don't mind,
more up to speed. He's a bit more closer to it than I am.
Yeah, that's true. Gary is, yes. But if I had to throw something to you as the host, I'd say, what gives you? Does anything give you confidence in what you've seen in the first team? Of course, you said that you watched the Youth Academy, etc. What have you seen, like from this first team, that makes you think that they will be more equipped?
Is like the all-conquering double season when they won before loads of. What you see is very good players at that level, at the level they're playing. So the under-18s are very good at their level. The under-21s are very good at their level. But then you've got to step up. We've seen Ajayi come from have a game when he scored against Elfsborg, didn't he? And Mikey Moore scored, and Scarlett scored as well, didn't they? I think we see more of that little cameo role for about 15, 20 minutes of Mikey Moore on the left wing in Europe in that game. But then he started the game, and Mikey Moore, I really rate him. Him and Vuskovic are the two I've got more. But and he's doing ever so well at Rangers now. He's just running the games for them, But when he was given a false start in one game, it just all went by him. But at the same time, when you're bringing kids into the side back in the 80s and all that, if you brought the 13th or 14th man into that team, they had 10 regulars with them. Now, we're talking about bringing youngsters in when we've already got Bergvall and Gray who are 19, and we're talking about bringing other youngsters in with them.
And they're the best performing. That's my point is.
Gray's been outstanding recently, right?
That's my point.
That's exactly my point. That's fair enough. If fans don't like the players I like, I haven't got an issue with that. We don't pick the team or buy them, or pick the tactics. We just express opinions. But so... No, even Williams Barnett has been fantastic at that level. And Tyler Thompson looks like it's a standard left winger.
You said they were Gray and Bergvall. That is my point. That they've stepped up, shown some balls, and shown the most quality out of the senior players, and they're the younger players. That is my point.
Yeah, but they would have been if we'd have had a fit squad of players back then. They would have been drip fed in the squad. What the only positives come out of all our crisis?
Gray wasn't.
Gray's come out and Bergvall have been given a lot of game time.
I know. I understand what you're saying. My point is we're going down if nothing changes, right? We are going down. We are awful, really, really awful. And Alistair Gold put out a piece today about 5 games he thinks Tottenham must win. We're not going to win one, and that's not a joke unless we improve. I've been positive all throughout the season. I watched us against Palace, right? And I know that red card is a big factor in that, but that comes back to a confidence issue, right? Young players have confidence. They believe in their ability. That's why they're in the Youth Academy. Right. We need that fight now.
Right, so I'll come to you on the confidence injury. Where I differ with Harry, it makes valid points. Where I differ is we should be using these 2 games. Now, he says bring youngsters in. I get the angle. But we should also be using these games to breed confidence. So you've got to play the majority of your senior players to get the confidence in them to tackle these last 9 games, right, in the Premier League. We need the confidence. If you start putting youngsters in amongst players whose confidence is fragile, I don't think you can look at that second half, right, against Palace, right, and say you can look at it 2 ways depending on your mindset. I'm normally a positive person. I actually thought we were hitting quite a few long balls, but we were winning the aerial duels. It was physical, and we played much better. Now you could say the first half we broke, we crumbled. We didn't. If we'd crumbled, we'd have lost by 4 or 5. That didn't happen. Now I'm not saying the confidence is there, but I'm saying there's still fight in this squad. They still show fight, right? But I think you've got to stick with your experienced players unless you really hit hard by injuries, simply because you need to build that confidence, and you've got to do it with those players. Otherwise, you might make them even more fragile. Now, it may work, it may not work. But what's your take? Do you think we should just throw youngsters in? People that say throw them games away, no, that doesn't help the cause. I just don't see it helps the confidence or the cause. So,
I mean, I can see both yours and Harry's points there. For me, I do think wins do breed confidence, but I mean, we have got such a small, fit squad as it is anyhow, so it's not like we can rest players or rotate players. We're back to now. These players are going to be playing twice a week again. With Harry's point about the young lads, I mean, if we've got a decent, obviously Sousa's not in the Champions League squad, if we've got a decent left-footed left wing back, you know what I mean? I maybe would play him. I wouldn't play all the youngsters or play, Williams Barnett instead of, I don't know, instead of like Mawani or Solanke or something like that. But to me, this Champions League is secondary to our Premier League survival. I don't want to throw it away, but you're not going to see one tear from me if we go out, to be honest, Adrian. I will be happy that we can just focus on what is so much more important, which is our Premier League survival, I think. The one thing I am glad and I am looking forward to seeing on Tuesday night is actually having Van de Ven and Romero playing together again for the first time in, 7 games or something since the start of January or something, was it, when he got sent off? So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Hopefully a back 3 of Danso, Romero and Van de Ven. I think we'd all
dropping Dragerson.
He's another one. I'll put him in Vicario's suitcase. When we take Vicario, I would.
But he's going to be playing for Real Madrid, according to his agent, Florent Menée. Vasquez must be licking his lips at Hamburg, all the options he's got.
But I mean, to me, I was going to put a question, like Harry answered it for me for on his side anyhow, but would you, Adrian and Phil, would you take a Champions League win if it meant we got relegated?
No.
Phil?
You mean win the Champions League, the competition, the cup? If
you meant winning the competition.
Yes, I would.
Well,
yes,
yeah,
I would. I would take the trophy and we get relegated, because then we would have.
Because we made such a massive rebuild anyway, Phil, don't we?
Exactly. The club is screwed anyways. The ownership is wrong, but at least we would have that star on our shirt. You know, the biggest trophy there is. And we'd be in it next season anyways as well, right? So we get but we get the money from it as well, right? Even if we were in the championship.
Staying with you, Phil, would you throw these games? Would you put the kids in like Harry suggested, or would you go with the more experienced players like I would go with, just for the confidence building for the remaining fixtures? But
I wouldn't throw the kids in
Hmm.
like en masse, but I
I
would
won't throw 11 in. Let me just add, I'd throw 3 or 4 in, like with 2 from the start, 2 on the bench kind of thing. I should be clear on that.
Yeah, I would do that, like, because we can play the likes of Byfield, right, Janai, on Tuesday, can't
If
we?
he's not got a
So-
knock, he wasn't playing recently. I don't know if he's got a knock or what.
Okay. Well,
I don't know. Gary would
he-
probably know, but I don't know.
yeah, if he was fit, then I would play him. If he were playing a 3 at the back, then I'd probably play him as a right centre back, because he can play right back or centre back, right? And then I'd play
Then you
Porro.
could do what Harry said. You could play VDV at left back and leave Spence
Yeah,
out. At the
yeah,
moment,
yeah. So
I don't think we've got. He plays there for Holland. We haven't got that option at left back really.
I'd like that. Yeah.
my issue is always, and I bang on about this every time. I want and I need to see a left footer playing on the left. I think that player can also be a bit, I don't want to say substandard, but if they don't need to be a world beater, but if they've got left foot and they can play that role, then it offers so much more balance to the team. Which is why now, if we don't have another option, which I believe we don't, and we don't really have anyone in the
Mason
youth
King,
who's ready.
No.
I would play Mickey van der Ven left back on Tuesday, bearing in mind that even if some people might say, "Oh, what if he gets injured or something?" Well, okay, if he does, then so be it. Sadly, he might get injured playing left centre back, right? But at least Sousa's available for Liverpool, so we've got someone to come in, and I would like to see Sousa play at Liverpool. Left back, but we need balance.
For the Liverpool game, anyhow.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, sorry, of course he is. Yeah, of course he is. So yeah, play him left back, and then I would play Janai if he's fit. I would probably put Tynan Thompson on the bench. If
he was missing the weekend as well, so I don't know if he's.
Was he? Okay, I still think we should start integrating Luca Williams-Barnett a bit more, even if it is just getting him traveling with the squad. If he's fit.
Well, you probably have that traveling with the squad because unlike the Premier League, you get 12 subs in Europe. It's about time they did it in the Premier League, actually, with the injuries and stuff. Yeah. You get 12 subs on the bench in Europe. You only get 9 in the Premier League. So you've got that. I mean, if you were playing VDV at centre back, then you'd probably have Danso, Romero, and Dragerson as a 3-man centre back. You'd have Dragerson in there. Because I don't see him starting Byfield. I think, look, you've got to imagine the pressure Tudor's under now anyway, even though he's just coming in and inherited a shit show. He's not, you're not going to start gambling now.
Yeah, you're right. And I don't think he's going to start Byfield, by the way. That's what I would do. Yeah. But I think that he's going to start. Well, let's hope he doesn't do his Porro thingy, like weird setup on the right side, right? I want to see Porro surely has to play right wing back or right back, right, tomorrow. If he doesn't, then again it's got to be major alarm bells, to be honest, about
yeah, that puzzled all of us while he was at the right sided centre back. And Gray, don't get me wrong, Gray was outstanding. He got down the right and where he won the header from the cross and then turned around and got to the byline and put it back for Solanke. I mean, I think I'm hoping some more fans are seeing more what Gray's got about him. I watched a lot of him in the Championship and all that. And watched a lot of the young kids at Spurs, and I've got my eye on a few that I think will definitely going to make it. I mean, they're all going to have good careers now and great wages, whether they're in the Premier League or not. Right? But yeah,
Adrian, I think we all know. I honestly think what his back 5, if you want, will be against Atletico Madrid, because I'm sure Tudor said in the press conference his last one that Spence is possibly going to be fit for the Champions League game.
Yeah.
So I can just see it now. Spence at left back, Porro right wing back, and I think it'll be Danso, Romero, and Van der Ven.
Dragerson had a knock. Unless he fancies Dragerson. Unless he somehow fancies Dragerson. I know he's had a very mixed.
It's having Spence at left wing back. I hate it.
You can't see him. We haven't got the balance. I know. Yeah. But we've got no one else to put there. And do I see him putting VDV there when you're stopping stuff going through the middle? I mean, the way that goal came through between our 2 centre backs when Vicario come out and didn't get it, you can blame Vicario for that. But when he's put the ball through to Sarr, when Adam Walton put that ball through, it was, when you look at that game in the game, it was just perfectly weighted to him. Vicario could have stayed at home, or I think he's come, so you think, well, you've come, you should get it. But one of them.
Can I just ask one question as well to the group, though, kind of as well, based on the lineup for tomorrow, but maybe for Liverpool
Tuesday.
as well? Yeah, sorry, Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday, and maybe Liverpool as well. And I don't know if you've got this on a card later on, because we talk about him every pod, anyways, normally. But like, how much more? So, like, what does Vicario have to do to get dropped, or to spend one game on the bench even?
And whether apparently Kinski's gone backwards in training. That's the rumours you're hearing. He's not doing it. I mean, and we brought in Fabian Otte he was the coach at Liverpool. He was the coach at Bayern, wasn't he? The goalkeeping coach. Plus, they promoted one of the academy goalkeeping coaches as well. I think if he was pulling up trees, he would be getting his chance. I actually think Austin's probably in front of him. And both of them made rickets, didn't they? He let a goal slip for his hand in the first minute against Villa in the FA Cup, didn't he? Didn't do his chances any good. And so did Austin in one game. I remember him doing the same. Virtually straight at them, both of them. But Austin was, I mean, we've kept him because he's homegrown. He's 26, 27 now, whatever it is, maybe 28. He was the England under-21 goalkeeper for quite a while. So he's definitely got something about him, but I don't know. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Austin's in front of Vicario.
Oh yeah, but if he is, that's cool. But then he should get a chance. Like, it's not about, like, the players also need to know, though, don't they? Or they need to be shown that if they don't bring the performances on duration, that there's a chance that they might spend a game on the bench or 2 games on the bench. And with Vicario,
both of them are going to be on the bench.
Yeah, but with Vicario, it just seems that he can do what he wants. He can perform how he wants, and he's almost like guaranteed a start. And it was weird to get in the last game, though, because there was those rumours, wasn't there? In the press, like Football London put out that report. Ali Gold's sidekick, I can't remember his name now, but he put out a report saying that Vicario was as good as dropped ahead of the Palace game, and he wasn't in the end. He started, and he didn't exactly perform amazingly well again in that game. There was a couple of things there. There was that one goal where he looked. Look, anyways, I mean, it's the same old moot point, but I just, again, whether Tudor feels anyways that, like, the pressure's too high and it's not the time to make that choice, but he has to go on the bench at some point. He cannot continue to the end of the season playing like he's playing. And influencing.
All right, we'll go through picking the team in a minute. I want to come back to Sai, because he talked about us winning it and getting relegated. Well, Sai, we've got this, haven't we? I mean, like, look, potential path to the final. We beat Atletico Madrid. We meet Barcelona over 2 legs, yeah? Then we got Arsenal in 2 semi-final games. Then we meet Bayern Munich in the final. I mean, they might as well give us the trophy now, mightn't they?
That's nice and easy, run, that is. That's a nice couple of non-league clubs in there and everything. Quite easy. Yeah, I mean, that's all. I think it's quarterfinals would be, is it Barcelona or possibly Chelsea? I'm sure in the quarterfinals as well. So, yeah, I mean, if we was miraculously, but like I think we've mentioned before, it is a Spurs type thing where you could actually go and win it and get relegated. But I mean, if we did, it'll be some achievement without having to play those teams. But wouldn't it be lovely if we did get to the semi-finals and stop Arsenal from getting in the final? That would be nice. That would
be some turnaround if we could get past Atletico Madrid. I think we've done well. I mean, look, we've won about 20 odd games on the spin at home. People might question the opposition, but, like, don't forget them games include Real Madrid at Wembley, drawing away at Barcelona, beating Dortmund at Wembley when they had a better team than they got now. But let's Well, this is just a bit of tongue in cheek. This, Harry. But so you playing a left back, Harry? Come on, let's give us your back five. Come on.
Back five. So right, who's not available? I haven't seen the squad or anything, so you can't choose Sousa, right? You said, yeah.
No, you can pick
Sousa,
these.
everyone else.
If you know any youngsters like Byfield, you could possibly add them. But I mean, like these
I
are the
think
ones.
Spence
They're
will
not
be
all
fit.
fit. Kudus isn't fit, obviously. Odebert's not fit. So
It's difficult. To be honest with you, it's difficult because I think Simon's made the point several times in the past about Spence, and I do share that, and I see where he's coming from. Part of me thinks Spence could be okay, but you never forget the words of Neil Warnock about his attitude, and I just think they're more true than ever. More true than ever. We were warned. We can't say we weren't warned. We were warned, and we took that risk. And I'm now again. I don't like to create problems, but I can certainly see, where people are coming from.
Sorry to bother you, but what did Warnock say about Spence? I had never heard that. Or
something like he's a good kid, but he will never reach his full potential because of his attitude. And he was very strong in his wording, and he said how he caught him doing certain things, and he just didn't like his attitude, especially after achieving things. Things at Middlesbrough, I think it was at the time.
he did back up a bit after being out on loan in Italy and France, and that though. He did, because he's got an England squad plays on the right hand side, which is where he should play if he plays.
He does look like he does have a little bit of an attitude problem, if I'm honest, only from what I see. When you watch him and his reactions. But,
yeah, 100%. But you asked my defence, right? So it's difficult. Would you say that Byfield's best position is centre back? That's the thing. Would you say his best position is centre back? So that's the difficult. Yeah, the difficult thing. As much as I want to start him, is this the right game to do so? Again, is the question. But for me, I'd back some of the youth academy over the first team. So again, I'm not 100% sure on the squad we picked. I haven't seen it, but for me, I'd start Kinski in goal for a start. Kinski or Austin, whoever is preferred. I have no problem with starting either. And listen, if someone's retracted in training, then that goalkeeping coach has to go. It's as simple as that. Whatever reputation you might have, if someone's retracted in training, you have to, as coach, take responsibility for that, and the managers included that as well. I know that we've changed managers ultimately, and I mean, someone is going to get worse though if they sit on the bench all season, and that is on us ultimately. I didn't want us to let him go on loan, but at the same time, we let him sit and rot here. We do have to take responsibility for that. All I would say is I think we need to go to a back four. I think we have to go to a back four. I know this manager's worked with a back five, I believe, all his career. It's not right for this set of players. I think it's completely wrong. I just can't see it working. So my back four, again, tell me if I'm, any of these players can't be selected, but Kinski, I think I'd go with him in goal. Porro right back. This may surprise some people. I'd go with Romero and Byfield, and I'd put Van der Ven at left back. A lot of people have been hinting for him to play left back. Can't be any worse defensively than we are at the moment. We have to change something. It's like when you see something like something's falling, right? The way I view it, you've got a tower that's falling. At least make an attempt to stop it falling. Don't speed up the process of falling, or even worse, watch it. Stand there and do nothing and fall. And that's exactly that Titanic at the moment, or wherever it may be, sinking ship. You need to do something to fight it. If it sinks, it falls. Not what we want. But if we go out fighting, you can go, we tried. I know it's not enough at the end of the day, but it's something. At the moment, we're not even. I don't think we're not even doing that.
Okay, that's your back four and goalkeeper. Phil, do you think that Tudor may go with a back four just because it's Europe, just to try something different? You could experiment that way in Europe without, without damaging things too much. You could almost switch with the subs back to a back five if you're not happy. So you could change it at half time.
I think he might. Yeah, I think he might actually go back to a back four for this game, because the back five didn't work in the last game, and I think he kind of changed it to a back four. It's been completely ineffective, and I think that I think he's actually going to go to a back four again. My desired choice would be Porro, obviously right back. I would pick Van der Ven left back just because of the balance. I would obviously pick Romero. And look, if he's fit, then I would probably agree with Harry, and I would actually give Byfield a chance. And that's only I know, but hang on a sec. Spencer's fit. Danzo's fit, isn't he?
Mm.
Yeah. So I played Big Kev. I played Danzo and Romero at the back, and Porro and Van der Ven, and I'd have Byfield on the bench then if he's fit to travel. And if it was a back, by the way, if it was a back five, then I'd play Van der Ven left back, and Byfield, Romero, and Big Kev, yeah, as the centre backs. But I could imagine him. I would predict that if Spence is fit, that he'll play Spence left back or left wing back, and he'll play Mickey and Romero in the middle. But I would rather have it the other way around. I want to see Mickey play left back.
Before we get to the more complex combination of picking a midfield, when every player's fit in this, it's going to be a hard job to do that. What about your back 4 or 5, Si?
I personally think it'll be a back 5 again because I don't think Tudor seems the type who will listen to outside noises. He's played it most of his managerial career. I don't think he's going to change. I think it'll be, much to my disgust and nearly everyone else on the panel here, with Cario in goal. This is what I think he'll play, not what I want him to play. Porro, right wing back. Spence, left wing back. And then I think it'll be Danso, Romero and Van der Ven in the back row.
Yeah. I think he'll do that as well. I think he'll pick that same 5 as well. I think he'll do it because we're away from the home. It's more defence-minded for sitting back to absorb the pressure. This is why I'm going to get Harry to pick is 3 or 2 if it's a midfield pivot then on this situation, because we are away from home, bearing in mind. And, I think they're 4th in the league, aren't they? Unless they've crept up to 3rd. It's the usual culprits at 1 and 2, isn't it? Harry, are you picking a midfield? Do it as a 3 and a 2 because I think he's going to go back 5. I don't think he's going to change his spots. But
yeah, well, that's why he won't be the manager for very long. That's why he's manager not for very long. I'd go with the 4-2-3-1 in this game, and the 2 I'd go with the Paulinho and Gray. Paulinho, I know, has been criticised a lot. I think a lot of it's unfair because he gets stuck in. Whatever you think of him, he gets stuck in, and we need that. And Gravely is the one who can hold his head high. So I'd have those 2. I'd actually play Xavi Simons, by the way, in his actual position. That's not hung out to dry at left wing. Maybe try putting him in the 10 role. And it's not all that. Yeah, I get that. Not the finished article, but maybe try putting him in his best position. We have to be more attacking, right? We can't defend for toffee.
Yeah, I think with Simmons, we've all seen there is one hell of a player in there. He's just got to do it on a consistent basis. Are you going with a midfield pivot then, Si?
I think, I think it'll be I would like to see Paulinho and Gray in midfield, and then maybe I think he's going to rely on Porro and say Spence for the width, if I'm honest, as wing backs. And I would like to see like Paulinho, Gray, and maybe Simmons in like a forward number 8, number 10 sort of role behind 2 strikers. That's what I'd like to see.
Phil, you're 3, and I'm going to stay with you for the strikers as well. Reverse it after that. So what's your 2 or 3? Are you going in midfield?
It's got to be Gray in the midfield. I go for a 2. I think like a 4-2, 4-2-3-1 or a 4, almost like I think maybe a diamond almost kind of thing. But I'd certainly go for 2 main midfielders, and I'd go for Gray and Paulinho for this one. I wouldn't play Sarr. I'll put him on the bench. And I would have Solanke up front. And I would have Tell starting the game, probably on the right, actually. Yeah, because he can play there, and he plays well there for France. And then I would play Richie. There's one left, isn't there? I would play. Sorry, I'll play Xavi in behind in the number 10, and then I'd probably play Richie as the other kind of striker, but I'll play him probably a bit behind Solanke, kind of on the left, But because Mickey's playing, assuming that Mickey's playing, he's going to come wide and offer some width, hopefully. So whoever's playing next to Xavi or behind Solanke, like Richarlison, they can kind of play a bit more central. That would be the plan. If Spencer's playing, then God help us, because I don't know what we're going to do. And the strikers I mentioned, I don't want to see Moani start this game. If Colin Moani starts this game, then I'm going to be really, really pissed off. Like, really pissed off.
Well, as he didn't start Moani, I could see him going Gallagher, Gray, and Paulina, because we're away from home. Because we're away from home, right? So that's 5-3, and then probably a toe and a striker up front, or he could just go the pair. He could go Solanke, Richie. To be honest, I'm like, it's hard now trying. If we had a settled team, and you think, oh yeah, these are a definite 7 starters or something like whatever. But it's all these square pegs and round and all that.
There's not a lot to choose from, so I think it's difficult to choose in terms of nobody's performing, but it's easy to choose that nobody's available really, and it's very clear that those are stepping up in the likes of Gray and Tell, whoever it may be. It's very clear to identify. But for me, something has to change, and that back five's not going to help. Like, having one extra defender and we can't defend, people think, oh yeah, that sounds great. It just means you're forced to defend more, really. And I've seen.
I think it'll pack that midfield, though. I think it'll go 5-3. I really do.
But what midfield gives you much confidence? Gallagher gives me no confidence.
He was at Atletico, wasn't he? He's just joined from there. I reckon Gallagher's nailed on to start, actually, thinking about it, Ian, because we just signed him from Madrid, didn't he? Like, he's going back there. He knows the stadium. He knows that. Like, yeah, maybe. But for what it's worth as well, like, I don't think that Gallagher was a bad signing per se for us, for the squad, but he was a bad signing at being our only signing, like, in that role, right, when we needed a different kind of player. But I think the Gallagher can still be a good player for us, but like next season or in the in the coming seasons,
he's great.
But he needs to be in a settled. Like, a lot of these players, like, when our team is so ineffective. It just doesn't work, and some of these players just can't build up a head of steam in it as well. So I know we like to slate the players, and obviously it's down to them. They're way under their level, but they've lost confidence and stuff. But when the team is just game after game not being functional, like nothing working, like it's very difficult, I think, for some of these players to prove, like, what they can do. And for someone like Gallagher, if there's one thing we would need from him now, it's probably more his leadership and his, like, his energy, right? Rather than any perceived, goals or skills or assists or this kind of thing. But you are right, Ian. I think that not Ian.
Adrian.
Well, it's an hour late. It's an hour later.
No. It's an hour later, and I've kept you far too long. I've kept Harry half an hour longer than he intended, because it's been a good show you've hung about. And I want to close, but so get over to Frankfurt Spurs here, guys, on XCOM, which is very good. Get over to Harry Scarfia, award-winning. We're honoured in his presence, award-winning Harry. Although we did win a couple of awards ourselves, minor ones.
Did, yeah.
And
well done.
Get over to Brummy Spurs here. So especially if you're watching on playback, get over to these guys. Great content. They talk a lot of sense, and we pride ourselves on diehards of being a mature and sensible group. When we have to go out hard, we do. If we have to really hit the club hard, which we probably will be doing from now to the end of the season, right? We will do it. 120 of you on various platforms viewing us now, which is fantastic on a Sunday. I want to thank you all for your support. I want to thank everyone in the comments section. We didn't get to read any out, but they come up in the bottom right-hand corner, because it was such a good show. If we'd run out of things to say, I would have come to you. No disrespect to you guys, of course. Thank you for your comments on that. And I'm going to go around the panel for any last comments, and then we'll end. So, Harry, anything else to say about the team selection or whatever, like strikers, whatever? I think it's going to be a fight. I really do, because we're away from home.
Yeah, I fully agree with you. I just don't think that's the yeah, exactly. I completely agree. That's what we will do. It's just not what I want us to do. But that's the story of Tottenham, isn't it, really? Let's be completely honest about that. Listen, all I will say is, up Spurs, every game's a final. Although it's difficult, we shouldn't be in this situation. And I don't want to call on the fans to do more because the fans have been here every single game, despite what even the likes of Frank have said, not being funny or had defended. The fans have been here, the players now and the team, the manager, they need to step up and do their job. Having said that, look at Everton where they were in a relegation battle. They brought the flares, they brought the passion, they brought the noise. That was something else. That was like, they were like they'd won something, right? And they forced them to stay up because they intimidated other teams with the likes of Richarlison's help. I say put the likes of Richarlison in the team. He's passion. He annoys all of us, I'm sure, Richarlison. If we haven't been honest with it, I think every one of us
5-3-2 can be 3-5-2. And if the wing backs get forward, you can go with two number 9s or a 9 and a 10.
I still think we're exposed. My point is that we have to, bring the noise and the passion that Everton did. This is a situation we're in. We have to, really get behind us now, and we're in a horrible, horrible way. But if we don't, we're going to regret it because we go down to Championship and we're stuck really. So Tottenham, please step up to the table. Fans, we'll do our bit as always, and thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome, Si.
Yeah, I echo everything Harry said there. To be honest, I mean, all I can add really is ignore the rumours for players leaving and that. Ignore sporting directors coming in next season and everything. Just focus on this season as fans now. And the club need us more than ever. I'm all for, campaigning for a change to Spurs, to Tottenham. But let's not let it affect the performances on the pitch. Let's get behind the team from that first whistle to the last whistle, because I don't want to see my beloved club go down to the Championship. I'd love to see them win the Champions League, but, so I will be behind them for that. But for me, first and foremost, I don't want to get relegated. And I'm not ashamed to admit, a 49-year-old guy, I will cry if we get relegated.
Right, okay. Right. Phil.
Yeah, I think from my side, Champions League is a bit of a free hit for us again now. It's not the priority. Having said that, I think we can get through this tie against Atletico. I think they're beatable over 2 legs, even in our current, form and our bad standing at the moment. I think we can beat them over 2 legs. And I'm hoping that maybe we can use the Champions League games as a little booster, for the Premier League. Like if we could get a result tomorrow, on Tuesday, even if it's just a point away in Madrid, that would be a little benefit and a boost for Liverpool, I reckon, on Sunday. Bearing in mind that probably not many people are expecting us to win at Anfield, right? Because we seldom do, right, over the years. But again, you never know, right? At some point, our luck could change. At some point, the performance could come out of nowhere, or maybe we score some long-range wonder goals finally, or win a penalty or something, So look, as the guys have said, we just all need to get behind the team or stay behind the team. And I think we're just hoping to see a flicker of something, aren't we? Whether it's from Tudor getting a bit more out of the players, sticking with the playing the players in the right positions, and kind of saying the right things. But it's going to be a very exciting finish to the season. And I still, for what it's worth, I still think we're gonna stay up, and I think we're gonna beat Forest at home as well. So I'm quite positive about it. And also, my last point, I didn't mention about the goalkeeper for my lineup, but obviously that it's not going to be Vicario in my desired lineup. I really hope that he is just. I don't mind if it's Kinski or Austin. I feel happy for Austin, if only because he's he's a Spurs boy, Spurs lad. Great. It would be great for him to play in Madrid. But I can't see it happening.
Big game, Phil. Big 2 games. Do you think actually the last 3 of you, do you just think that players, they won't have the pressure of the Premier League on? I know there's pressure of the Champions League, but with the fan base not expecting us to win this anyway.
I think the pressure's off a bit.
Players could relax a bit, maybe. I don't know if that's possible. That's my hope anyway.
It's a pressure-free 90 minutes, realistically, for them.
Yeah, as long as we ain't 5-0 down at half time.
Yeah, that's true.
Well,
Right, guys, it's been a great show. I've got to praise my guests for this. They've made it a great show, kept it interesting. I mean, that's why we've got 130 of you staying with us to this time, which is absolutely fantastic. If you do like the content of the show, guys, I mean, there's in the bottom right-hand corner, we can't see it. There's a red subscribe button. If you can hit that subscribe button, subscribe to the channel, give the video a thumbs up, helps the algorithm. Yeah, like I said earlier, for those of you watching on playback, you'll find the guest links in the show in the comments section and in the video itself. So get over and subscribe to their channels and give their videos a thumbs up as well. Yeah, so all I can do is thank everyone, and we'll be back Wednesday after Athletico Madrid. Will be a show 9 o'clock Wednesday UK time, and we'll see you then. And with that, I'll play you out with this bit of music I wrote.
We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die hearts, heart and soul. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die hearts, heart and soul. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die hearts, heart and soul. Willy white and navy blue. We are Tottenham till we die. We are Tottenham till we die. Spurs die hearts, heart and soul. Lily